It is a beautiful day for a fantasy draft, and that is why we are here. I'm Marcus Grant. He is Dylan Milner, and we have paired with our friends at fantasyomatic to bring you more advanced algorithms and stats to get you ready for your fantasy season. But before we get too deep into that and start talking about players, tell us quickly, Dylan, what is the algorithm?
So the algorithm is a quick and easy tool that takes a lot of the guesswork and the emotion out of it for fantasy owners. It's an equation that takes a player ranking plus the opponent they're playing, plus a home and away data, plus the field that player is playing on, plus the situation of the season, all put into one, and out comes a couple of numbers. One's the player ranking of how that player stacks up against other fantasy players at his position, and the matchup that they're playing, whether that matchup is four things: a bad matchup, a worst matchup, a better matchup, or the best matchup. So it's all kind of graded on how difficult that matchup is, plus a ranking of that fantasy player.
So basically, it's an Excel spreadsheet on steroids.
A little bit bigger than that, yeah.
All right, sounds good. And I mean, we will turn it now and face it toward a specific player, that being Russell Wilson, who has been obviously a star since the moment he stepped into the NFL. Looking at his schedule this year in 2015, there's some discrepancies. We like to talk about fantasy points allowed and using that as strength of schedule. The algorithm has it a little bit different this year.
Yeah, let's take a look at the schedule that they've got this year based on the bad, worst, better, best algorithm equations. If you go by fantasy points allowed, Russell Wilson has the 7th hardest schedule in 2015, scaring a lot of people off not buying the Russell Wilson hype. But the algorithm shows that Russell Wilson has the 4th easiest schedule. Look at this in the back half here. Weeks 10, 11, 12, better, better, better. Weeks 14 and 16 in the fantasy playoffs, a better matchup. So if you can get past that Week 15 matchup against the Browns, you're sitting pretty there. And like I said, the 4th easiest matchup based on the algorithm, not the fantasy points allowed data that shows that he has the 7th most difficult schedule.
Now, we talk about quarterbacks. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers seems to be kind of the consensus number one. Andrew Luck not far behind him at number two. But when you look at quarterbacks in terms of their efficiency and their points per snap, Russell Wilson hangs in there with the best of the best.
Yeah, one of the other pieces of data that the algorithm has given us is the fantasy points per snap. The Seahawks threw the ball one of the lowest amounts of all the teams last year, but when they did throw it, look at Russell Wilson's stats here. Almost 3 points per snap, 3rd in the league. And in games that he had a best or better matchup last year, he had .42 points per snap. That was number 1 in for all quarterbacks. The good news for this year, he has 8 of those games that are either better or best matchups. Half of his schedule is laying out that he will have the most points per snap for quarterbacks, so that's a great reason why you should be looking at Russell Wilson and buying the hype as the number 3rd ranked quarterback going into this year.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about all these things Russell Wilson has done in the past and what the expectations are. We didn't even mention the fact that he's got Jimmy Graham on his side now.
Yeah,
too.
that's a big weapon for him.
That is a big, big weapon. So you want more of this? We got plenty of it for you. You can come find us at NFL.com/fantasyomatic. We'll have all of your algorithm needs right there in the meantime. Get ready for your draft. Good luck, everybody.